What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another footballing video where today, once again, we are playing Devil's Advocate. Now, last time out, the challenge was what Newcastle United's team will look like after their Saudi owners take over. Today, we've got something a little bit out of the blue, but something that I'm actually quite interested as to how it would turn out. And that is going to be how Manchester United's team would look if Jose Mourinho was still their manager. Now, 3 transfer windows have passed since he was fired. He's moved on to Spurs, so maybe that will have a waiting. I've gone for kind of realistic, but also kind of out there. So I'd like to see what you guys think of the team I've built in the comments below. Also, go subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to hit 100 subs by around June, May-ish, but yeah, let's get into the video. Now, in net, I can't see it being anybody other than shot stopper David De Gea. Now, the keeper hasn't had a great few years, but he is still a world-class goalkeeper. And to be honest, I can't see United getting anybody better. Maybe the one option they could have got is Keylor Navas, as he's been on the move recently, heading to PSG. But other than that, couldn't see a whole lot of options on the cards for Jose. And De Gea is just such a good keeper. He's unlikely to go anywhere, so I think he would be the perfect fit to stay in the United lineup. Left back, Alex Telles. Now, Alex Telles is one of the most hyped fullbacks in the world at the moment. The Brazilian fullback playing for Porto in Liga NOS currently has a £40 million release clause, which looks like an absolute steal of a buy. And I've got to say, it probably is. Now, Porto would have been happy to let him go in the summer, as his contract is expiring in summer of 2020. So they would rather lose him for 40 million this window than lose him for free in the upcoming one. Therefore, Jose would no doubt have been able to work a little bit of Mourinho magic and bring the fullback over to Manchester United for a sweet, sweet. Left centre-back, Victor Lindelof. Then alongside Alex Telles at the left centre-back spot, we're going to have to stick with Victor Lindelof. Jose is a big fan of this man. Yes, he's been taken out by a few injuries, but he is still a top player. And I just can't see them letting him go with him, to be honest. And I can't see Jose letting him go, especially since Lindelof used to play in the Portuguese league. He's a quick centre-back. Similar kind of traits to Carvalho, quite tall, but not the most aggressive or big defender, but quality in his own right. I can't see him changing to a left centre-back to be Victor Lindelof. Right centre-back, Tyrone Mings. Now, you're probably thinking, Ross, you've gone fucking crazy, and granted, maybe I have, but the man I've gone for is not going to be big old slabhead Harry Maguire. It is in fact going to be Tyrone Mings. Now, due to their big spending on some of the players coming up, and also the signing of Alex Telles, I have gone for a slightly cheaper centre-back. Now, Jose would have wanted a new one. Eric Bayer's been a little bit injury-knocked, and some of the old blood, though, Marcus Rojos, they just needed to get out of the club regardless. And Tyrone Mings may have been the ideal player to bring in. Young, promising, just had a great championship promotion season with Aston Villa, and I see no reason why he wouldn't have been a good player to bring into the starting lineup. And I reckon, to be honest, he'd probably do quite well. Maybe it's a move that could happen in the future with Solskjaer. Right back spot, we've got João Cancelo. Probably one of the weirder moves in this team, João Cancelo, but my thought process is he's Portuguese. Jose's Portuguese. Jose tends to like bringing a couple of Portuguese wherever you go. Look at Deco, Thiago, Carvalho, Paulo Freire, Masingua. They're all Portuguese. Jose likes his Portugueses, and I reckon he'd get one more in the Juve or former Juve fullback at this stage, as if that man is willing to accept taking the big risk of going to try and replace Kyle Walker, the best right back at the time in the league, maybe other than Trent. I see no reason why he wouldn't have moved to Manchester United, been brought in by a big ambition, and to be honest, if Juve were willing to sell, I reckon United were willing to buy. First midfielder, Paul Pogba. Now, Paul Pogba, he could leave the club. That is definitely a possibility that is on the cards. But I've kept him. I know him and Jose have at times had an up and down relationship, but I reckon the Frenchman will have stayed put if Jose was still the manager, and would form what would be a pretty lethal midfield combo with a couple of players that you're going to see coming up in the team. No more Fred binning off the side. He'll have some good midfielders around him, some strong players, and with the faith of Jose, he would have stayed at the club. The World Cup winner would be 27 and be ripping it up for United. Now, you're probably wondering, who is it that's going to be alongside him at centre mid under Herrera, Nemanja Matic? Could it be even Fred or Scott McTominay? Nope. Definitely not Scott McTominay. Jose has no faith in youth. The man we're going to bring in, actually is quite young now I think about it, is going to be Gedson Fernandes. Now, I know you're thinking, yes, a little bit generic, he's gone to Spurs, Jose's new club. But my thought process is, Jose has such a good relationship with the Portuguese players, and I know I'm bringing in the second Portuguese player and the third from the Portuguese related kind of teams. So yes, albeit maybe a little bit unrealistic in that aspect, but I reckon Jetson would have been a surefire move, the kind of player they like to pick up. They would have been able to get him relatively cheap, and a promising youngster. I mean, Benfica would have been ripped through their team this year, but he'd have been a good little signing. Christian Eriksen. Now, it's another Spurs player coming into the side now. It's going to be Christian Eriksen. Now, of course, he's wanted to leave Spurs for a little while, and I think now would be the time to do so for him in real life. I reckon in that January 2020 window, Jose would have whispered a little something in his ear, told him to come to Old Trafford. I reckon the man would have done so. Inter Milan, United, both kind of fallen sleeping giants at the time. I reckon the move would have been on the cards, and definitely one that would have made this team very, very tight. Imagine a midfield with Pogba and Eriksen controlling the strings. It would have been a thing of beauty. It would have put off the Bruno Fernandes move, so I don't know where I think he would go. Maybe like a PSG, or maybe a Manchester City even, despite the fact they have like shit tons of cannons. But I'm going to say Christian Eriksen in the midfield. Jose's going to work his magic, and he's going to bring him to the red end, what am I about, Old Trafford. Left striker, Marcus Rashford. Now, I know Jose had overlooked players in the past, and Anthony Martial is one of the players that I'm going to say that he does overlook, but I can't see him turning down Marcus Rashford. First up, United have their policy of always having at least one player from the academy, and I can't think of anyone else in this lineup that is from the academy, so for that reason alone, I reckon he'd get into the side. But also the fact he is a promising youngster, and I reckon he would have developed and would be by this stage a top player as he is in real life. I reckon not much would have changed in his trajectory. Similar kind of play style, similar kind of interaction, similar number of goals. I reckon it'd be a pretty similar relationship to how it is at United in real life. So Rashford can stay in the lineup. Right winger, Arjen Robben. Now, a little bit of a left field pick here. The man is actually retired, of course, in real life, but I reckon if Jose was still at United, maybe there's a little something that would have been able to tempt the Dutchman over to Old Trafford. Now, he's done it in the past. You look at Zlatan, you look at Schweinsteiger, you look at Rooney. He's brought a lot of these players back in the past, and I reckon he could do it one more time with Arjen Robben. The Dutchman, he's linked up with him with both at Chelsea and at Manchester City, so the two know each other pretty damn well. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back for one last hurrah. A couple of good final seasons, he's not going to pick Martial. So Arjen Robben, the tricky winger, is the man I've got in this team. And finally, the striker. You're probably not going to think it. It's going to be Romelu Lukaku. Now, I know what you're thinking, of course, he's been sold on in real life, but I reckon Jose would have stuck with the man, and I reckon United probably should have done too, but that mistake is in the past. Lukaku is, of course, gone, but I reckon Jose would have stuck with him. He got, I believe, 33 goals in 77 games under the Portuguese manager, which isn't a horrific record. To be honest, as much shit as he gets wasn't a wholly bad record. He proved himself in the past in the Prem. I think Jose also likes that kind of big man up top. You look at Drogba, that kind of S-player, he's the next man to fill in those boots. However, if he had left, the man I'd tip to replace him would be Moussa Dembele from Lyon. A similar player to Romelu, a similar style to Drogba, and I reckon he would have fit the mold. But I'm going to stick with Lukaku for the moment in this team. Is the team that we have finished off with. De Gea through to the rest of them, through to Lukaku. We've got 4 players in De Gea, Lindelof, Pogba and Rashford who are in the Manchester United side in real life. I hope you guys enjoyed. Want to see more of this Devil's Africa thing in the future? Leave a like. Until next time.